Happy Halloween, my favorite holiday of the year, because I'm essentially a Halloween baby. I was born 2 days ago, some years ago, some decades ago. But anyway, happy Halloween. Today we're going to do a super scary little Q&A sesh. I just got back from a little holiday and I'm feeling like, I just posted a video that rattled some feathers on defining espresso, or really undefining and deconstructing espresso. And, some people have rightly pointed out that sometimes I can get a bit postmodern or metamodern in my critique of things and how I approach semantics. LOL, because I studied post-structuralism for a little bit and got really into metamodernism in film. But anyway, that's beside the point. I do like to be a bit obscurantist. We got to get a little bit of Lacan up in here, a little bit of get the idea that you don't read Lacan, you read about Lacan kind of thing. So I like to be a bit obscure. But in any event, let's talk about coffee. So I'm wanting to hear from you all, everyone that joins in this, and then I guess in the future people can comment on the video once it's posted. But what I would love to discuss here is I know that some people get annoyed with semantics, but here's the deal: people are like, "Is pizza a sandwich? Who cares if it is or isn't? It's delicious," or whatever it is. When I was referring to is soup espresso. Now, the reason I think this is a very important topic is because things matriculate into cafes, and that's where we pick up new potential specialty coffee purveyors and hobbyists, enthusiasts, etc. You go into a cafe that has adopted soup, you order espresso, they give you soup. You might have a bad experience if that's not something you're inclined to. Or a friend brews you soup at their house. You go to a cafe and think it's espresso, order espresso, and you get some really concentrated something that you can't stomach. That's an issue. So semantics are important because we need to understand what we're saying when we're communicating across cultural bounds, language bounds, etc. So there is an importance to this. Now, I got some flack from some people about kind of dissing on the Italian espresso. Now, let's be clear here. I was not dissing Italian espresso in theory. I was not dissing Italian espresso in practice. I was dissing the purists or the elitists in the space that think that the Italian espresso definition is dogmatic. And that is what I have an issue with. Whenever you try to push that onto other styles of espresso, to claim espresso because it was created in Italy, well, should Africa claim coffee because it was there and no one else can change how they brew coffee? You see what I'm saying? Now I do think Africa can claim coffee because that's where coffee comes from. But anyway, that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, just because a brew method is created doesn't mean iterations can't come from it. Now, the Italian espresso definition is actually specifically called the definition of Italian espresso. And there is an actual definition for that. And that's fine if you are okay with calling it Italian espresso. Espresso, however, I think is a bigger umbrella blanket that through globalization has now taken on different meanings. And that is the semantics we need to be able to pull apart and understand as we're talking to one another, or things get a bit spooky. Now, I wore my Pikachu because I don't have an outfit, but I'm Pikachu for this video. And if you disagree with me, I'll electrocute you with my thunder, which I can learn at level 41. Also have Pikachu tattooed on me from the yellow version game. Pixelated, that's what's up. But anyway, Neapolitan espresso. Someone was saying espresso in Italy isn't just one thing. There are many different cities that produce it differently. Naples has one, and no. I understand that, but guess what? There's only one official Italian espresso definition. So if you want to say that there is a definition and it's Neapolitan espresso, or that it's espresso practice in Rome or in Treviso or wherever it is, well, then you are taking a single dogmatic espresso definition. Okay? But you can't, because Italy has their own. So if you say that the one in Napoli is the one, then the espresso one is wrong. If you say the one in Treviso is one, then the Italy. So you got to choose one, or you have to be open to the fact that there isn't one. All right. And my experience has been that Italian people are not very open to something outside of their idea. So I was actually speaking with an Italian person who works with a grinder manufacturing company when I was in Italy, and I brewed him a gusher shot. And we were talking about espresso, and we made some agreements. And I was like, "So what would you call this?" And he said, "It's not espresso." I said, "So what is espresso?" He said, "Thicker, more concentrated, a 1-to-2 ratio." I said, oh, okay, so if it's not a 1-to-2 ratio, it's not espresso. He said, no. I said, what if I pulled the same shot I just gave you, but stopped it at a 1-to-2 ratio? Would it then be espresso? And he was like, well, it needs to have crema. I was like, well, light roasts don't really have much crema the way that you're anticipating. So are light roasts just a priori impossible to create espresso? And he was, this is why semantics are important. If you say espresso necessitates thick crema, well, then certain coffees can never be made into espresso. So what is it when I pull it at 9 bar in an espresso machine? Who the frick knows? So semantics are important because we're trying to communicate. That's what a lot of people who just want to be flippant about it and say, oh, who cares? What's good is good. That doesn't hold any water with me, my friends, because what some people who live in their own basement of their mother's house, what they don't understand is they're sitting behind on Reddit, typing their thoughts. What they don't understand is there's a world out there beyond ones and zeros on a computer. There's a world where people have grown up in different culinary backgrounds, different cultural traditions, and they have different approaches to different things in life. I know it's crazy. Not everybody has a T3 house with a yard. Not everybody has an apartment. Not everybody has a car. Everybody has kind of different walks of life, different experiences. And we have to understand that and know that coffee is global. All right. Some people attribute it to Dutch thieves in 1616 stealing some coffee cherries and playing them elsewhere. And now anyway, coffee's global. We can't just sit and be okay with, whatever. We can't be okay with this kind of flippant, subjective, whatever you're talking about, I'll figure it out at some point. No, we need to have not necessarily dogmatic definitions, but we need to have an understanding of what umbrella terms are and what falls under those in order to have better communication. So that's why I did that video. That was just a brief little thing I needed to say. But anyway, Pika, what up, Cody Pop? Who dissed Italian espresso listening comprehension issues. No, I agree. And I literally said, are you, this person was from Napoli. And I was like, you realize I love Neapolitan espresso. And then someone came up and said, yeah, you think Neapolitan espresso is the only Italian espresso. Huh, there are lots of different ways of espresso being practiced in Italy. Well, then tell that to the Italy powers that be that created the definition of espresso to safeguard their tradition. They think there's only one way, and I read about it anyway. But also, I talk about pulling tratty shots all the time. Oh, and then I asked the guy, by the way, so is a ristretto not an espresso? He said, no, it's a ristretto. And I said, finish the term. It's not just called a ristretto. It's not. You have the term espresso in there. I said, what about a lungo? Is a lungo not espresso? By your definition, it's not. A lungo is not espresso anymore. So what is it? I don't know. He didn't know. I was like, well, you got to figure that crap out, dude. Y'all call it lungo espresso and ristretto espresso. So, I mean, hey-o, what are we doing with that? Make coffee espresso that tastes good for you. I agree with that, but this is the whole kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We do need to have some sort of way to communicate, right? Again, this is not as simple as me and my little Discord group. There are millions of people around the world that are enjoying this hobby, and we need to have ways of discussing, especially when people are like, when these styles of brewing make their way into the cafes, we need to have ways of discussing this without just saying, without someone, or like, for instance, there's an issue, and I experienced this issue as a barista many times, where people don't know what a macchiato is, right? They don't know. And if you say, well, drink what you like, that doesn't help when I'm trying to order at a cafe. I'll order a macchiato, think I'm getting a Starbucks macchiato, which I think they screwed over everyone by making macchiato meaning like you put the foam in first or something dumb like that. But they'd come in and order a macchiato. So what I trained our baristas to do is to say, essentially, or what we would do is just kind of a gesture. We would kind of pick up a cup, a little Dimitas, and be like, macchiato? They would say, if they made a face back, no, I'm kidding, and then we pick up the big cup. It's a caramel macchiato. We do caramel and vanilla in there, right? But if they're like, yeah, with the Dimitas, then it's like, oh, cool. You play it off as either a joke or serious, right? So we need to have some sort of understanding. Otherwise, people are going to go bananas whenever, oh my goodness. There are places that won't even ask for clarification. You order a macchiato, you get this, even if you're expecting a caramel macchiato like Starbucks has trained you to believe is true, and then you get upset. Or same with flat white. People are like, well, flat white, just what you want to drink. No, it's not. You go to a cafe, you order flat white, you're going to get 40 different things. And now Starbucks has put their hat in the ring as well, further obfuscating terms. This is what we got to get away from. This is actually the issue with post-structuralism, is it comes through and messes everything up and says, oh, the meaning is in the beholder's understanding. Okay, we got to get freaking Michel Foucault out of here. What a freaking waste. Okay. The fact this is causing a stir, no pun intended, in the coffee community speaks volumes. You're pushing boundaries. Where did that go? It just updated and I can't see it. Push boundaries, and that is in zone. You keep going, my friend. We love it. Good. I don't understand why it's freaking controversial. That was the thing. It's like, oh my God. I'm like, the thing is, I wasn't even trying to be controversial. Okay. I was a little bit, I guess, rude to, Italian community at large. But when you're being rude as an at-large community, where you go on and you're sending troops out onto my video on Italian Espresso saying, you don't understand anything about espresso. That's not our heritage. That's not our something. Like, listen, chill. Or they go into other videos and say, oh, what are we doing? Channeled shots now? I'm like, bro, do you know what channeling is? Watch my naked portafilters are liars sometimes video, because you'll learn a little something or two. But or people become these tyrannical purists where they'll have this romantic experience being in Italy because that's their first trip to Europe and they're Americans. They're like, oh my God, everything's so perfect out here. They go and they see a barista in a cafe sling like 40 drinks at once, and they're barely tapping the tap. They're cranking it in. They're just dosing by eye. They're like, good baristas don't need anything. Good baristas can just do this. That's what they did in Italy. Yeah, it's because it's dark roast and it's actually quite low quality. I mean, the amount of the coffee you drink probably costs like $2 a pound green, which is like cheaper in commodity for the most part, because a lot of it's Robusta as well, which is even cheaper than commodity Arabica by a lot. So anyway, all that to say, didn't mean to be as rough as I was on. It wasn't about Italian culture. It wasn't about Italian espresso as a thing. It was about the arbiters of what espresso is coming in and trying to flex their muscles, which are minuscule. I need a freaking microscope to see that muscle. You don't want to see a muscle? Well, you don't want to see mine right now, because guess what? I just got back from a little holiday where I was like outside a lot, and oh my goodness, my tan line is awful. Farmer's tan to the extreme. No one will see it unless you really want to. No, I don't want to take off my Pikachu. You'll probably see it in a video. If my sleeve is shorter than the tan line, it's rough. Team no definitive. I don't think we need definitive. That's why I said umbrella. So for instance, I would be more than happy if we could get everyone to understand that espresso was an umbrella and it just meant pressurized coffee brewed under pressure, like under pressure outside of atmospheric pressure. I'll be fine with that. And then we can further kind of understand, because here's the thing. I disagree that we don't need some sort of understanding, because if like, I don't want to go to a shop and go, okay, well, everything's espresso, soup's espresso, and this, and someone told me that they offer soup, and I go up and order an espresso, and I'm expecting soup, and then they give me a tried espresso. I'm gonna be pissed and a half. I'm gonna be flipping pissed. I don't like tried espresso. All right, so I need to go up and be a little bit more definitive in order to get what I want. Right? I need to be able to say something more specific than espresso. In the same way, you don't want to go to a cafe that has, let's say that you despise AeroPress, but you love V60, and you hear this place has a banging V60, but we use the umbrella term filter coffee. We go in and say, I want a filter, and they give you an AeroPress, and you're pissed because it's like, it's got all, you don't like the AeroPress, and you're like, what the heck? I wanted a V60. Well, we needed to be specific there. V60 is a very specific thing. Soup's a very specific thing, right? So I'm fine with like, oh, we have different types of espresso. What types do you have? Oh, we've got soup, we've got gushers, we've got trad espresso, Italian espresso. And the big difference there between trad and Italian is trad would be something that is ran on a traditional machine without modifications, where you're grinding finely, but essentially 9 bar can't be held. You may not even be hitting 9 bar. It might be gushing a bit, it might be 18 seconds. But Italian would be under the strictures of Italian espresso, so following kind of their rules. Otherwise, it's not Italian espresso. So if someone wants to be really pedantic about it, then you could have that. But anyway, is it actually possible to make soup on a rudimentary machine? It's possible, sort of. It's kind of difficult. What's your opinion on Easypresso X Ultra versus King Grinder K6 for V60? Just regarding pricing, I think exclusive medium to light roast with preference to fruity and punchy coffee medium line bars. They're going to give you very similar cups. I think it's kind of the build quality of the X Ultra is going to be higher, but it's going to be a wash-in cup, I think. If I had both options for free, I'm probably choosing the X Ultra because build quality. You plan on doing comparisons of line checker WT results versus an ordinary container with lid? I'm curious to know what difference makes in distribution. No, because there's none. I mean, the WDT makes it worse. There's no point. I wouldn't do blind shaker with WDT. Oh, you're saying blind shaker versus ordinary shaker. Forget the WDT. I'm not doing that either because I already know what the results are. The results are a shaker's better. It's not because it's shaking. It's not because it's shaking. You could 3D print something that does the same thing as a shaker. What the shaker does, and it's not like I'm now pretty convinced the shaking action itself is not the. There may be something happening with shaking. I have not found anything conclusive with the further tests I've done that aren't published or anything. But what I feel very confident is going on is mostly this. The way that is contoured on the bottom, when you lift and coffee drops out, it drops in kind of a conical fashion like this. And it starts in the center of the basket, the grounds do, and distributes out kind of in a mound. And that mound is perfectly centered because you're letting gravity just start falling as it rises in volume. All right. And so then you have a mound at the end. So you have a higher concentration in the center and a lower concentration in the outer perimeter. Well, guess what? The outer perimeter is always under extracted, even when you have donut shots. We've been over this in many videos, so you better know this. If you don't, you haven't been doing enough watching. Go binge more of my content. Anyway, so you always under extract the edges. So if you overpack the middle and underpack the outer, you actually get a more even extraction across the board. And we actually have outside verification of this with Stefan Rebe, the guy who does Picky Chemist, the Picky Chemist. He measured, he was one who proved that the outer ridge is always under extracted. And then he showed that you can improve the evenness across the puck by overpacking the middle. So I think that's mostly what's going on. It just so happens this is a really convenient and perfectly built tool in order to replicate that. So if you shake in just a normal shaker, you're not going to get the dumping, which is the majority mechanism that aids in the and that's also why I have always said you cannot use a shaker and go direct on portafilter. It will not give you the same results as if you dump it from up high. And so I think that big reason that shaking works is less the shaking, more the dumping. Blind shaker is just covering and walling on my catch cup, but dude, do I really need a blind shaker? Listen, anything I say, you don't have to do it. Anything I find gives me better results, or even if it's objectively better results based off data, that doesn't mean that you're going to taste any difference. It doesn't mean that it's going to make your life any better. So if you enjoy putting your hand on a dosing cup and shaking it going and it works for you, good. Don't let anything get into your mind to spoil it. If you enjoy it, if there's anything you ever enjoy, don't do anything to change it. If you sit there and go, oh, but I really like what I'm doing, guess what? Take that all right out of your mouth, throw it in the trash can and go, oh, that means I'm good to go because I'm enjoying what I'm doing, right? That's all there is to it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Now, for just a quick second, I'm going to take a little shout out to the sponsor of these videos, and that is Airtime. Now, do you work at home? Do you work over Zoom ever since COVID? Do you do things online? Well, guess what? You don't have to use these boring, drab, not fun, not funny little doohickey where you're just using your webcam. You can up it with Airtime. Now check this out. Look at these cool things that Airtime does. Super easy. Any camera online can use it. All I did, download Airtime, and I go on YouTube when I'm streaming, and I just click which camera am I using. I'm using Airtime. Bada bing, bada boom. I have a window that pops up, and look at this. Look at this. Boom. I could go here, and look, there's the S-Works. That's when I ordered it. Look, I can move my head around. Look at this. It's so easy. I'm floating like a ghost. Okay. We also have this right here, and I can I can do this. I can do this. Well, I can do that. I can make it, squared up more. I can change this. Oh, look, I can make it a circle. Anyway, and then boom, we got me in the center being like, I had these specifically made, by the way. So if you get Airtime, which I recommend you do, especially if you do a lot of online meetings or any types of calls or something, you can get my freaking slides like this. And that's sick. You could pop up this. Look at that. You can go get these. They are with it. You just download it. And look at this. You're in a meeting. Imagine this. You're in a meeting with 30 people in a conference, and you need some coffee. And you want to give a little, hey, I'm going to get me some coffee. You pop that bad boy up. They ain't going to ask questions. They're going to say, hot diggity dang. Guess what? You think it's time for soup? You say, I don't need this meeting. It is soup frickin' time. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to put that up because all of these are available. I hope you brew something tasty today. Shout out Airtime for making everything so fun. Also, Burman. You need a bat signal? Heck no, I need a bird. All these things are fun. They're fun. go get airtime. It'll be in the link below after I upload this, but also you just type in airtime on Google. You need it. I need it. They're making it more fun. So I love it personally. I use it all the freaking time. I do. In case you all know, a little plug. I use this almost daily because I do almost daily live calls with my Patreon, my Discord. So I have a Discord accessible through my Patreon, and I get on there and I use these, and I very frequently pull up videos or websites, and I'm always using these little bad boys. But also, whenever I brew soup, they're fun. And I can get more made, and I probably will get more made, and they're going to be more fun stuff. So what are you going to do? Shout out to Airtime. Y'all rock. Let's continue. 6'7", someone said. Seconding that on Blind Shaker got good results. Oh, I already read that. I have an 064S. I'm wondering if a different burst at like the SSP Lab Sweets, HU, or LaBruce Sweets would give me better sweeting, more tasting medium roast espresso. Sweetest 64 Burman. Okay, so first off, make sure your coffee is actually capable of giving you the sweetness. Second, make sure your water is capable of giving you the sweetness. Then after you've checked those two things, after you're positive of those two things, then we can look at maybe buying some other burrs, but that should be last resort. Okay. Also, make sure you have fully seasoned your burrs, and you've tried all different types of recipes. Okay, and resting times of your coffee. Sometimes too fresh can be harsh and bitter. Maybe it needs more rest. Okay. After we've done all of that, only IFF in geometric terms, if and only if you have done all of those things, then I would recommend maybe the Lab Sweets from SSP. I prefer those to the LaBrew ones. Yeah, probably that. Never come across a shop that offered turbo shots on soup. Yes, I agree that shops haven't not yet. Do you realize how new it is? And there are a few shops that have begun to offer it. Turbo shots, though, have been offered at many, many shops. So have what people call, they call it Texas filter. It's where they essentially pull a filter coffee using an espresso machine, but they're just replicating Matt Perger's, I think, 2012 US Barista Championship routine, where he did like 18 grams to 180 gram output on an espresso machine in like 45 seconds and made essentially filter coffee, but it was under some slight pressure, but not much at all. So people have been doing that. I've had that at cafes before. It's not super common, but it's this was back when only the nerdiest of nerds knew about that, and now coffee's becoming more mainstream, and more baristas are in tune with what's going on in the world. And there are lots of shops that have reached out to me on how to implement soup into their workflow, what to use, and I know of shops that are using soup. So the thing is, this is still super new. And when I say super, just imagine it spelled SOUPER. Still super new, but it will. And I know of places doing the gushers, loads of places. You may not even notice it because you go in and you enjoy the espresso. You don't think anything of it because it may be a gusher, but other people may be hating it, thinking it's some acrid, gross thing. So anyway, the thing is like we need to be ahead of the curve. There is a ticking time bomb on trad espressos in cafes. Not all over the world, but in many places around the world. I think there's a ticking time bomb. People are liking it less and less, and it doesn't do well with lighter roasted coffees, which people are now gravitating towards. Less bitter, you know what I mean? Less gross. Soup is not espresso. You said it, not me. I don't really care which one it is. We just need to who cares, right? I am part of who cares camp. We just need to decide, is espresso, what defines espresso? That's what we need to decide on. Is it TDS? If so, soup is espresso because it has essentially the same TDS as espresso. Yes, the concentration is nearly identical to espresso. Is it pressure? Well, if it's pressure, then no, it's not espresso. And if it's pressure, why is it pressure? Because I could pull you a shot pulled at 9 bar and at 5 bar with a dark roast. I would bet you $50 million. And guess who doesn't even have $50 million? This guy right here. I'll bet you all of that money that you're not telling the difference. And I know you won't because it's been done in testing before. You're not telling the difference between 5 and 9 bar. So if it's not pressure, what is it? Is it a pressure threshold? If so, why that arbitrary threshold? Is it just is it for crema? Well, then are light roasts not able to be espresso? What is it that defines espresso? What is it? what should define espresso? Is soup isn't espresso? Well, why? Is it because it's under a bar? Okay, that's fair. But we need to know what does define espresso, right? Is it just the capability of creating thick crema? Well, then it's probably around 2.5 or 3 bar, something like that. Okay, so that's your minimum for espresso. Okay, well then that's still just so vague. That's so silly. So we need to have some sort of understanding of what espresso is, right? We know what filter coffee is. It's something that is unaided, because we can put filter in an espresso machine. That doesn't make it filter. We can put a filter in a French press. That doesn't make it filter coffee, right? We understand that filter coffee is like something gravity driven that is brewed, right? So if we understand that about filter coffee, we need to have something, and we know that, like I said, a French press isn't filter coffee necessarily, even though maybe some people think it is. I don't know, but we have some sort of understanding about that. We need to have some sort of understanding about with espresso. All right, is it espresso? Is it just based off pressure? Well, we need to have an understanding that. I do think we need big time. Love to know more about the coffee cup rainbow coming soon to a hoodie near me. I want a hoodie, but first I'm going to test. I'm testing with shirts just to get a feel on which designs people gravitate towards, and it's less of an upfront expense for me because I'm going from pocket, baby. I'm just shelling it out from my pocket, and I'm doing super high quality stuff. I hope y'all still buy it. But the thing is, let me just say real quick about my merch. I will never, ever, 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 ever just haphazardly make and sell something. Everything I do has to be of utmost quality and something that I myself would buy or wear. And I am not going to just honestly, I'm not really going to be making much money from it, to be honest with you, because I'm buying really expensive shirts that are made in Portugal that are super high quality that a lot of very boutique brands use, but it's because they're handmade in Portugal, ethically sourced, traceable, and they're incredible stuff. So they won't be super cheap, but it's because I refuse to do something. You know me. I refuse. Like I'm not gonna go buy shirts I can get for $4 for me and then charge $20 and make a $12 profit or whatever it be once you take all the minimum out. I'm not doing that. So there are gonna be some nice shirts. Anyway. There's been so many. No dissing Foucault. Sorry, I got to. He was used by the feds, dude. Don't believe me? Go read all about it. There's so many academic papers on that. I pull 25-second 1 to 2. I'll pull a 40-second 1 to 1. I'll pull a 12-second 1 to 3. What do I use to make it with an espresso machine? Oh, I understand that. But you can also use an espresso machine to make tea. Does that make the tea espresso? Does it? So we have one definitive thing. It has to be made from coffee. So it has to be made from coffee and it has to be from an espresso machine, right? So if I make a filter coffee, a crema, what do they call it? Cafe creme was the original name for it, where you pull just a shiz ton of water through a coffee puck, and it's like 200 ml beverage. That's espresso? Really? If so, is a mocha pot espresso? If it is, then is anything from steam pressure espresso? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot to be. Correct. Language is not perfect, but it's something that but that doesn't mean we just throw in the towel, right? You can't just let terms be taken and shat on. I'll second the question about how you like source biox. So I yelled it and picked it up yesterday when they come back and saw it. Oh, LOL. I like the source adapter. I don't necessarily use it all the time because I don't need pressure on it. Like there's no point in having pressure. Now, the fun thing is being able to use a basket, right? So like that's nice. I can use the 50, what is it? The 51 millimeter basket on it. That's fantastic. And I do love that. So that's good. Espresso police. That's who they are, dude. Whiskey with a splash of water is a way different thing, and you know that. You know that. Whiskey is not something you are creating at home with a specified recipe that is, by its nature, a pure thing. Espresso with a dash of milk is not espresso anymore. Boom, use your own argument against you. Golly. Come on, Elliot, you know better. First, I'm asking some maybe not so spooky question, but what would be a good electric grinder for espresso and filtered preparations? I'm in the range 575 USD. Time More 064S. How much was the correct answer for the giveaway in print matter? Do your best. Shaking maybe helps degas. Who really knows? It's all conjecture, but the thing that's not conjecture is dropping in the center. Got Oxo Brewer and Soup is live. Now I'm going to 3D printing a step down so I can insert my Neoflix basket to lower dose and deeper plug. Good idea. What's your thoughts? Javi has done this before. Uh-oh. Crud. I was getting to the next... Been having no issues PF with SCRM, usually do the shake, but decided to just leave the freshly ground mount and tamp consistent shots. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like things like that. Well, you're gonna have consistent shots, but they could likely be better if you shake. One of the big reasons. Okay, so there is one reason to shake, and this is the original reason Samo Smirke shook in his lab. Woo! In Zurich, okay? And it's because when you grind coffee, the first bit and the last bit and all the center bits are all completely different particle distribution. So when you shake it up, you're homogenizing the grounds, which will help with a more even extraction. Now, you could get consistent extractions with an uneven particle distribution because it's evenly uneven every time. Doesn't mean it's the best way the shot will taste. But if you like it, then you like it, and who cares? But that is something that's also objective technically, because every grinder will have different varying particle size distributions when there's no load, full load, no load. Right. Yeah, Cafe Creme from Switzerland, exactly. 1 ton espresso machine. Yeah. What's funny is everyone thought that Perger kind of invented that. Some people call them coffee shots, but let's go coffee pop at home for my friends and family. I hope to get some of them to soup. Oh, you will. You will. Any thoughts on or plans to review the P80? Yeah, I ordered one. I'm just waiting for it to ship. Try out an Elgato Stream Deck. Is airtime compatible? I don't know. I don't even know what that is. I'll take a cup rainbow shirt. Yeah, you got it. That black and white latte shirt is sick. Yeah, I'll probably make one of those in the future. The thing is that is something that I did some years ago with a shop I helped open. But slow fashion Lance merch, I'll take 3. Oh, yeah. Why is headspace pre-wetting not a problem with flare meticulous machines where the water also pre-wets the coffee during the 5 to 10 seconds it takes to fill the cylinder? It's taking you 5 to 10 seconds to fill the stinking cylinder? First off, it's not as big of an issue because A, there's a shower screen where it does have to go through. So it'll take, I mean, it doesn't take long to get through that, but it does slow down the flow. Second, it does not take no 5 to 10 seconds to put all that water in there. Are you like, what is going on here? Let's say in the meticulous, you can fill it with 150. First of all, the meticulous, you don't fill it before you fill it before the piston opens to allow water on the coffee. So you fill it, and then right when the piston lifts, it infiltrates with water. Make sense? So there is no waiting there. The flare, right when you pour, yes, it does hit the top. So let's pour 70 grams of water. Ready, set, go. 2.5 seconds for 70 grams of water. Come on now. That's friggin' nothing. Come on now. Yeah, I used to roast all the time. I did roast commercially even at one point. Something different. If you were building an espresso bar, what do you think the ideal materials for the bar top? Something easy to clean and won't stain easily. Easy as that. We're edging into our legging pants territory here with these definitions. Let's all just brew tasty things, please. No, I'm all about brewing tasty things. That's my whole thing. Brew something tasty. But we do need to have communication. We need the capability of communicating across lines. Okay. Like we need to be able to have something so that people aren't always like it's so annoying when it's like, oh, I brewed delicious espresso today. And I have to be like, oh, how did you brew it? Oh, what was the pressure? Because someone could say, oh, I did 20 grams in, 45 grams out in, 17 seconds. Now that could be interpreted in a slew of different ways. And if they would just give me the way they brewed it, would be good. But if they just say espresso and then that, I have to keep asking, pondering like questions in order to kind of understand. You know what I mean? It's kind of just annoying. Well, Elite Fred, not that great. Curious about the new LeBrew 78 milliliter filter bursts. I mean, they're not great. Thoughts on Buku? I'm hoping to get one soon. Oh, there's another new 78. Interesting. High specialized definitions are important when you need to standardize it. Qualify. Do any of us some of them need to standardize to this degree? Sorry, not usually this spicy. No, I'm not asking for highly. Again, let me just reiterate. There is no need for highly specialized definitions. We need an understanding on umbrella terminology. Is something like Spro or a Gusher espresso, or is it not espresso? I honestly don't care which way we go. I have no care, but we need to choose one. Is it espresso or is it not espresso? That is something. And here's the thing: you all are coming from a home enthusiast situation where it truly doesn't matter for you. It truly doesn't matter for you unless you get annoyed when you're chatting on Discord. But the fact of the matter is, these will matriculate into cafes, and we will have consumers who are not knowledgeable as you all are. People who are sitting on Halloween watching a madman in a Pikachu sweatshirt talk about semantics of coffee beverages. All right. That is a very rare trait. But we're the ones that are setting these trends. So if we're setting the trend, we need to be responsible trendsetters and ensure that they have at least a modicum of understandability for the consumer that will eventually be maybe adapting to this. We just need umbrellas, okay? We need, and right now there is no umbrella. People will say it's not espresso. Well, is it filter? It's not filter. What the frick is it? Those are really the only filters we have. We can create a new umbrella. I don't care. But are you excited for the Pulsar Mini, or are we over the whole no bypass thing? I've been over the whole no bypass thing for so long. It's crazy. Come on, Alex. You're one of the people that you're so engaged. Come on. You should know this. I got over that when I got over the higher extraction with no astringency equals best potential for coffee. That's when I threw away. I threw it away. Shoot. I mean, yes, I brewed with the Z1, but that's because everybody wanted me to brew with it. And I said, for no bypass, it's probably one of the better ones, right? But it's not necessarily that it's good, and I don't ever use it, right? So I'm just not a fan on that. $10 of coffee at the end of a bag. What's your favorite way to brew it? Deep 27 from Kafek. On how you brew with the Deep 27. Never really got there, especially as I love to use these expensive beans. I do like 4 or 5 pours. With that deeper column and the small dose, I've found that you need a lot more pours, or you get crazy bypass. I like modern espresso as an expensive term that includes turbo, sprover, soup, etc. I'm fine with that too, but that means it's espresso, right? So, and that's fine. I'm fine with traditional and modern espresso. And under traditional, we have like Italian espresso and lever style shots. Under modern espresso, we have gushers and all these different things. Now, personally, then you have to ask, well, what is Nespresso and what is a mocha pot? Right? Because those fall into similar, like, I honestly think a soup is closer to those two things, sort of. It's like in between them, kind of, not really. But it's kind of whatever those fall under is where soup should fall under. Like, what is a Nespresso? Do you just call it Nespresso? Does it have its own category? Or is it espresso? Or is it, what is it? Any thoughts on the FVI? Oh, wait. I've been in filter for quite a while, and I just got a robot. What's the best way to start on espresso and soup? I show soup in my soup video on the robot because that was the OG that was created for it. And then espresso, I would just replicate levers. Any thoughts on the fused vision? So that's actually an idea I had, and I was talking with. Well, I think a couple of us had it independently, but it's something I've been talking with a few people over the past year about making. And recently, I was talking to Introvert Makes about doing it, and then he talked with Merit about it, and that's why it was a collab on their Instagram post. Because I came up with that idea as well, and I think it's a good idea. It's going to allow for less headspace, faster build of pressure, faster saturation. I think it's great. I liked the Z1 for what it was. I don't ever use it. All pour over, baby. I feel you. On an actual umbrella. I love it. Just Chang it. Gravity and pump coffee. Chang, are you making a community pun? Please tell me you're doing a play on words with Chang. Please tell me that's what that was. Oh, you said call, not Chang. Oh, I thought you were saying change it. Oh, I really wanted that to be a community. Anyway. Oh God, the existence of espresso undermines any concept of spro legitimacy. God is dead. We are lost. That went straight to the Time cover. God is dead. That went back to the God is dead theology. Oh my God. I think normies call Nespresso mocha pot just espresso. Well, okay, if those are espresso, then yeah, or they call it coffee. It's just hard. But all I'm saying is we need to umbrella it. Seems unique, I think, because they have some instant coffee in the pods, if I understand it correctly. I don't think it's instant coffee in the pods because it's not dissolved. As a mocha whenever you want. Flower V60 V60. Does he want to give away? Oh, I can. Yeah, that's easy. Grinder setting for fellow Ode 2 for soup. I'm not sure. I've never made soup on the Ode 2 actually. I've made it on a lot of grinders, but not on that one. All right, I'll rattle off 3 more cues. Then I got a date with a horror movie. I'm not sure which one yet, but I got to watch a horror movie tonight. If anyone, I'm a big fan of horror films. 60s, 70s are like my cash and what's the phrase? Bread and butter. That was way off. But if y'all have a great one, like, and I mean great, I can do like I enjoyed like Terrifier. I thought that was fun, and it was a little it was kind of corny, but it was fun. I like the kind of cult like classics, I guess. I can dig some of that stuff, but I love me some of the Toby Hooper kind of old stuff. I love Wes Craven, all that old stuff. But anyway, if anyone has, yeah, of course, Suspiria and Inferno are both incredible. Talk to me, okay. Army of Darkness, of course, I've seen Army of Darkness, fantastic. John Carpenter, of course, I know John Carpenter's Assault. Come on, remember? Okay, 60s, 70s, and 80s are like my specialties. Alex, you read my mind. LOL. Does Rocky? Oh, listen, my dog's name is Rocky. Rocky Horror Hedrick is what I call him. If that answers your question, that's literally what I called him. My little white dog is Rocky Horror Hedrick. Anyway. Okay. Well, we can do like one or two, maybe 3 more cues real quick. Oh, was the cheapest electrical grinder that outperforms a Pro Brew Pietro for filter only? That outperforms it. That's hard because it's so subjective. Favorite horror movies? Wired Gourmet newest video. Oh no, what did he post? Oh no. What? For the record, although he and I disagree on so many things, I really like him. I really like Wired Gourmet. The espresso distribution fable. Oh yeah, he's all about channeling doesn't exist and you don't need distribution, and he proves it by using a really dark roast that no matter what you do, the viscosity is so high that it doesn't look like it's channeling or heterogeneous. It's kind of funny. Hereditary. That's one I've actually not. I need. That's what I'm watching tonight. I still have not. Shockingly, I still have not watched Hereditary. Shockingly, I know it's because I'm such an old head. I like the old stuff. I watch so much 60s, 70s, 80s. It's crazy. I even watch like Blood Feast. You know what I mean? I've watched like things that are old and that have some sort of contribution to horror, the genre. I watch it. Anyway, Airpress grinder is apparently 250 USD and looks like the ownership changes, making the company more money hungry. That's exact. Oh, Army of Darkness is hilarious. Ultralight for wired gourmet Osaka. I know that. It's wild. It's wild. Talk to me. He's written by a couple of YouTubers who are now into the movie industry and it's produced by 24. Is that the blonde dude and the brunette dude who make comedy videos? I know that they did a horror film. I think they did. Cape K2 51mm basket advice. Sorry for spamming. I'm a bit desperate. What do you mean advice? Stock basket's fine. 64mm lab V2 or V3. V3 is like all it's like espresso focused. V2 is more flexible. Would you consider a video on MH V3 bomber? I've been loving their baskets and new metal drip better in their hanger. My issue is they copy paste some other companies on occasion, and I don't like copy pasting other companies. I'm not a big fan of it, but maybe. I disagree. It can only do 18 grams. That's fine for 51mm. You need more than 18? 18 is great at 51 mils. Oh, you want smaller dose. Ah. I'm not, I mean, you'd have to find it. I don't know. I'm sure. I know that there is one. I think I have a small. I think Wakeiko Pico, the Wakeiko Pico Presso has a smaller basket variant, and you could probably order it from their site. I have one. I remember looking at it, thinking I will never use that because I think this is it. No, that's IMS. That does look pretty small though. IMS has a pretty small one. I don't think 13. I don't know, but Wakeiko should have a small basket. Pretty sure. Pico 51 doesn't fit. Oh. I don't know. I just use I use the stock and then that's pretty much what I use. Stock works well for me, but I like bigger, like 15 to 18 gram doses. Lovely Doji. Can you please require and do a deep dive? Doug and Barb deserve it. I gave mine away to a Patreon and I already did. I didn't do a deep dive, but it's I called it the best one. So I feel like that was good. Which kind would you recommend to coffee house that has Makuna, E80, and EK Omnia? I would recommend selling the EK Omnia. Get the money from that. Buy a Bentwood 75. Oh, okay. This is what I would recommend. I would recommend selling the E80 and the Omnia. I would buy a Sanremo X1 and a Bentwood 75, and I'd call it a day. Boom. Hat drop. Before you knew it would fit. Well, let me just double check there for you. Boom. It fits. IMS. Wait. Am I an idiot? Yeah. That's where it goes. For some reason, this is stuck on there. There. IMS. Boom. Fits all the way closed. Easy as pie. Can you tell us more about the Hummer espresso machine you saw? It's just like a Meraki without a grinder built in. That's really all. And like a lot less plastic. A lot less plastic. But yeah. That's it. All right, my friends. I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. I hope y'all watch a horror movie, even if you're a little scared. They're fantastic. They're super fun. They make the night a little more fun. But when is the Moto? I don't even have the Moto 80. They haven't shipped them yet. That Bentwood Meticulous Soup had you drilling more on it. The Bentwood was really good on it. I'm not gonna lie. It was really good pairing with it. Really good pairing with it because it really accentuates sweetness. Like Bentwood, yeah, we'll get into that in another video. But have a good rest of your days. Pika Pika, Pokemon rocks. Much love. Bye.